Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Safe House Sports Podcast. Today we have the three of us that are in the trailer. We got Jack Lambruni.
We got me, TP.
We got me, and we've got.
And you also have your number one boy.
And we're all big sports fans, or at least two of us are. TP's a fake fan. He's a new one.
He is a fake fan.
I have a good 3 years of experience being a football fan now. So I think.
To be fair, he has a. Sorry to interrupt you there, mate. He has a football Instagram player report, which is more.
Shout
than
it out. Give
number
it
one
a
boy,
follow. Give it a follow.
Give that a follow. I've got a funny story about that actually, which maybe I can do another time. But
yeah. But anyway, today, the first episode motivation is this new thing that's been released called the European Super League, which as football fans we are all big outraged by. But I get big outraged. Outraged.
Big outraged by.
We're all outraged by, and so today we're going to break down the more in-depth stuff because we're all such big brainies that we know more than most people. We know more than the Sky Sports stuff. We clearly do. So you should be listening to us.
of course.
And yes, so we're basically going to be going through what it is for a start for newbies, and then talk a bit more about it. So first of all, TP as the big brain. What is it?
What is this experienced football fan amongst us?
It's like the test.
The perfect candidate to explain what is going on. So, for anyone that doesn't know, what has just happened is a newly established European football league called the European Super League. Very inventive name. Copied the Turks. Has formed with so far 12 clubs, I believe, with an expected 3 more to be announced at some point. The clubs that have so far joined are Man City, the big 6 from England: Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And then we've got AC and Inter Milan. We've got Juventus from Italy. We've got Atletico and Real Madrid from Spain, and Barcelona from Spain as well. I believe that's them all.
That's the 12, yeah.
That's the 12.
Yeah.
It's expected that there will be 3 more, most probably. The clubs that are wanted are PSG, Dortmund and Bayern, but whether they accept is another story, I suppose. But so that's the kind of the rundown. UEFA have acted pretty immediately on saying their thoughts on it, as well as the...
yeah. But before we go into the UEFA stuff, more about the actual format of this proposed European Super League. So there's these 12 members, right, you said? And there's 3 more to join? You said there's 20 clubs. How does that work?
Yeah, so from the statements, I've only read one statement, but I assume all the clubs have produced the same statement, so I'm talking for all of them, is that the 5 extra clubs in the 20 teams will be temporary clubs that will be relegated and promoted each year. They haven't really said how that works, like who is considered for that role. I don't even know if it's all 5 that are relegated and promoted each year. Or, I have no idea how that. I don't know how that works. But that's their thoughts on it. I guess to create a bit of competition, but it seems a bit. I think, to be honest, being a team in that, I wouldn't really want to be in that 5. If you like what's the point? Like, I don't know. It seems a bit.
I mean, like, beyond everything else we were saying, like there's the example which is probably pretty common where you come above someone who's like allowed, no matter what, stays in, and you like come above them, but you still get kicked out. It'd be so dumb.
I mean, say all 5 get relegated, and I just don't. So is it nothing to do with how you play in that league? Is it just to do how?
Well, they said based on outside achievements on at least Chelsea's statement that that's how it'd be judged, but obviously that's quite a broad statement.
Exactly. I mean, what does? I mean, I assume
basically you can pay them the most money. That's what I assume.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I guess the assumption would be the winner of now that if those clubs leave their leagues, their domestic leagues, which is something that could happen. I assume it would be the winners of the biggest European countries that would be in there. Yeah. I don't know. That's
we haven't talked about that that much, right? So you were going on to say about how UEFA, and I mean it's actually true that it's all the governing bodies really. So it's the FIFA. It's all the individual leagues.
Every confederation of FIFA.
Yeah, so they're all big mad about this proposal,
Unsurprisingly.
and they're threatening to be excluded. So all these clubs and the players, if they participate in their competitions run by these organisations, so that would be the World Cup, the Euros, and all the domestic leagues. So if that was the case, like you were saying, I don't want to move it on too much, but if there's 5 teams that get added and kicked off, like each whatever, if they get relegated and promoted, and these leagues hate this new league so much, then they're not going to let the clubs go, right? Or like if they get relegated from this league and kicked into these new domestic leagues, like they're not going to go, oh, we're not going to have you back because you got kicked out of there, are you? Like that's just not going to work at all, is it?
It just the details of how the competition will work is so vague. And like, I mean, when I first read the statement, it almost sounded quite good when I was reading it. I thought, because they made it out as if it was just another competition to be added to the others.
Yeah. And
like, they almost made it sound good. But then, yeah, like, the more you think about it, the more you realise how uncompetitive it is and how, it just, there's no benefit. The only benefit I can see for the fans, anyway, is the fact you get to see your team play better teams more.
Yeah,
which I get that some people would like, but then it would lose its magic, I suppose, after a while.
It comes to the detriment of too many other things.
It also comes into these. There'll be it'll be split into 2 halves, right? This new league, and so the top, I think it's 5. Although I'm not sure how that works. It's a knockout. Yeah, I am sure actually. So it's the top 3 from each of these halves go into automatically these like quarterfinals. And the 4th and 5th for each of the league play like this final game to get the final quarterfinal spot. And then so at the end of each league, these quarterfinal spots play each other for a knockout to win. Does that make sense? So whoever comes first in one of these halves plays the winner of the 4th and 5th. So you've got like the easier opponent. And then it's like a knockout stage.
It's the MLS.
So basically it's like, yeah, literally that's exactly what it is.
Well, we'll get onto that in future. The American side of the whole situation.
But that's at least how the format's supposed to work, which I think is so stupid because like you come first and like the amount of effort it comes in to come first over 5th. So like look at City compared to like Everton. It's ridiculous. The only benefit of doing that all season is to play like a slightly worse team in the first knockout stage, which you can get upset about. But it's like, there can be an upset and you just get knocked out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it would just bring in a whole new type of tactic where it wouldn't be necessarily the best thing to win a game, which would just completely ruin the whole system. Because if you only need to get into a position where you just can get into the knockout stage, there's less incentive to actually try and get to the top of the league, I suppose.
For sure. And also there's the thing that if you're 9th in the league, right, and you can't get relegated, and so you can't make these playoffs at all, and you've got like 10 more games of the season, like what is the point of playing them all? Like you're not bothered about them at all, are you? Like there's nothing to play for at all.
I'd be really interested to know how the relegation and promotion system of these 5 extra clubs works. I don't.
Yeah, they really need to release more details about the whole thing that's happening.
But if you're AC Milan or Arsenal and you're just losing every week, so you're going to be like last in the league. There's no point to play. Like as soon as you can't get the top, like the qualifying stages, there's no point in playing ever.
It would be so.
No, well, we should establish that for viewers or listeners that all 3 of us have stakes in this competition. As I am a avid Arsenal fan, Tom is a massive Chelsea fan, and Oscar is Jack Lambrini. Sorry, we'll cut that.
Oh, it's cool to have Oscar in every single game, anyways.
Yeah, sure. Whoever you want to say it is a big Milanista of the AC variety. So, so all 3 of us are fans of clubs involved in this, which may not be for much longer. Depends how you feel personally.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another point, isn't it? Is how the fans of the clubs are gonna, like, how loyal are they gonna stay to their clubs when the clubs clearly do not have them in mind at this point?
Yeah. So do you think that's what it is? Do you think it is just like greed? Because we haven't said, but like it's 350 million per club to join the European Super League, is it not?
Is that what
I think so? Yeah, because it's a 3.5 billion initial investment.
It's basically it's stupid money.
For each half.
Stupid money.
So you're getting mad money to join. So that's the main incentive why they do it, right? And so if they do join, is that not just showing that it's just about money and they don't care about the fans at all?
It has always been about the money, unfortunately.
I mean, this is quite clearly this is quite clearly about money. There's no other logical reason other than the only other thing I could think of, like what I said earlier, is the fact you play better teams more often. But other than that, which isn't really a logical reason, is it? I mean, because part of the excitement at playing good teams from around Europe is that it didn't happen very often. So only
for sure, and you just like removing all your history and stuff, right?
There's no the like neglect to the history of the club is pretty mad. How there's just
and all the other clubs, like just fuck anyone who isn't part of the thing, right?
Exactly.
Fuck all the West Ham fans who are like, they were like building up, like they think they're doing sick, like Everton who are like got Ancelotti, they're like building, they're buying youth players, they're building up, and then they all just fuck off to the other.
And you have to decide why some of these teams qualify. Because is it about the history? Is it about the money? Because like Nottingham Forest, why aren't they included? Why aren't
exactly.
Aston Villa? Why aren't Newcastle? Why are Tottenham in there? They haven't won a Premier League ever. They've won.
Tottenham, as an Arsenal fan, we've got a big target on there.
Exactly.
I mean,
even Arsenal. I mean,
I suppose.
At least Arsenal
I'd say
won something.
Arsenal, United. Sorry, I don't want to talk over everyone, but Arsenal, United, and Liverpool, I'd say, obviously, are the three biggest clubs in England. So it's pretty clear why they're.
Yeah,
but
and I mean,
exactly.
like Chelsea, obviously, like that's all money, and I mean, like.
Same as
So you say that actually. So before, like, because it's actually related to Chelsea, I got a statement from. There was like an inside interview that we put statements for, and Chelsea and City, they said in that, were really reluctant to join this, and they're actually against it. And apparently one of the main reasons they did in the end is because they were scared of all these other clubs making this league and them getting left behind in like a weakened league.
I did.
And
see
so that apparently Chelsea and City are good guys, despite.
Which was surprising.
Well, that's the problem, is that there's so much money involved in this league that even though these massive clubs like City and Chelsea, well, not massive clubs, but like these big money clubs, even they will get left behind by the teams in the Super League, just getting bankrolled just by participating, by finishing ninth and battered 10-0 every game. They're still going to be making bank and then be able to get these players.
And I mean, in a way, although Chelsea and City obviously are two of the biggest money clubs, and like although that's the case, they also have two of the most involved like owners out of all of those big clubs.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the owners, like. Sorry.
Well, the owners in for clubs like Arsenal and United, especially, who they are corrupt and
they're very distant,
terrible
I feel,
distant and just terrible people.
I'd argue the opposite. But I mean, the United owners are one of the main drivers for the European Super League. So the Glazers, apparently they can't really understand why we still have a relegation system financially wise.
Well, these are American owners, because the three owners of Arsenal, United, and Liverpool are all American.
Yeah,
exactly. So apparently they were so against it, and it makes sense that they were one of the main drivers, and it shows that Joe Glazer, who I've said multiple times, is the United owner. He's the co-owner, is the vice chairman of the European Super League, which just shows how how stupid it is to be that involved, to be the owner. Imagine if the owner of Arsenal was the vice chairman of UEFA when they make the Champions League. It'd just be so
exactly. Yeah.
This is the problem with, I guess, because there's no what's the word? There's no governing body of the owners of football clubs. So there's no one that can stop this, really. Other than, I know there's been some sort of statement from Boris Johnson, hasn't there? Which I think is probably a good idea to actually get governments involved, because they're probably the only people.
Yeah, so there has from the Spanish.
He's trying to protect the legacy of the sport. It's damage to the reputation and the country and stuff like that.
I think if this does fail, I think they will probably, or at least they should, bring in some kind of some kind of body to govern the ownership of clubs.
Well, that's why I think they're trying to do it now, because there is no body, like you said. So they're trying to push for their own league, their own rules, so they can just make up their own rules. So if this goes through, they've got no one can control them, because they're in control.
If
they have that control.
Through, there won't be a
they can change things. They can do what they want. They can. Don't have to worry about UEFA or FIFA or the FA or whoever.
It kind of shows how how uninterested the owners are in the clubs when they band together. Do you know what I mean? Like these rivals, you know, like these Manchester, like, you know, they're essentially. I was watching something earlier about how they're essentially making a they're starting a business together.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
literally.
Like Manchester City and Manchester United are starting a business together. Like it sounds like it's so stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like all the London clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham are starting a business together. It makes no.
Well, they're probably neighbours in America, aren't they? Like the Glazers, the Arsenal
Yeah.
owners, the AC Milan owners are an American firm.
Kroenke, yeah.
The Liverpool owners are an American firm. Like they're all
Yeah,
just
well,
American.
apart from-
Yeah.
Abramovich, I suppose, is one of the few, but
Well, yeah, and
Yeah. Well.
and the Saudi, is it Saudi or Qatar that are owned of? No, it's Saudis that own your city, isn't it?
yeah,
Because Qatar, so that's one of the, apparently that's the main reason why Qatar didn't join, is because obviously, no, not Qatar, PSG didn't join, is because they're
Yeah,
owned by
I saw
Qatar, they're owned by Qatar businessmen, right? And so the World Cup's going to be held in Qatar, and they were scared that FIFA would
Their
like
players,
ban
yes.
them from their players and stuff from the World Cup.
Oh,
And apparently
that's
that's why, yeah, exactly. So apparently that's one of the reasons why PSG didn't, because obviously they're scared of the World Cup and what could happen to that.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think PSG are one of the few clubs that it doesn't really matter if they leave the French league because they win every year anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, they
To be
leave
fair,
it-
Yeah, so they'd want to leave.
You
it,
say that now. Have you seen the French league at the moment? It's actually probably the most competitive league in the top 5 leagues.
that is a good point actually, but still, I think that's probably one of the few countries where it maybe doesn't matter quite as much. But
Yeah, every
Yeah,
other league's fighting for
crazy,
top
yeah.
4 from by like mad, but the actual first place has been won by all of them, really, hasn't it? Apart from that and the Liga.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
But it's
that's
pretty
I mean, because La Liga is they have quite an interesting system when it comes to like it's their TV rights and stuff, isn't it? They can. Like, because in the Premier League, it's all shared between the clubs, is it not? I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
how
so
it
it's all
works,
shared, but
like,
it's not shared like directly with an even split. But there's so Barcelona and Real Madrid get like some crazy, but now I don't know what it is, but I think it was
Yeah.
like 70% of the entire revenue of the league
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
to
I was
just
gonna
Barca and
say.
Real Madrid.
Easily, yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
also
So-
why they're the two biggest revenue generating clubs in the whole world. It's only followed
Yeah.
closely by United. Every other club is miles behind that, and so that's because
Yeah.
they get all their league's TV money. So that almost ruins their league. So basically, what that's done over the years is ruin their league and made it non-competitive, and so it's just like boring. And the Premier League hasn't done that and been exciting. And so these leagues want to join, like they see what the Premier League's doing and how fun it is and how it's the biggest league in the world and the most watched because the most competitive. And they want that basically. So what they've done is they've gone, oh, screw this, let's join a league together. And the Premier League clubs like see all the money that's come in from this, and they're all bloody American owners and like see the new system. So they join it as well. And so it's
Yeah.
just screw everything else that they've like fucked up in the past, really.
Yeah.
Same with Serie A. Like Serie A's, it got screwed from all the corruption of Bayern. They bought all the refs and stuff like 10 years ago, and it's basically screwed the whole league. So they screwed over Milan and both Milans and Juve for it. Juve were able to keep all the money, so they were able to keep the good players. Both Milans had to sell, and since then
Yeah.
Juve have just dominated the league. Even though before then it used to be super competitive, so they've just ruined it doing that.
Yeah.
Bayern obviously have always won the league. They won the league for like their league sucks anyway. They didn't ruin it, but they didn't even want to join anyway.
Yeah, well, I was
Well,
going to
yeah,
say,
that's
coming,
the thing.
I
German
was gonna say,
clubs have all
coming on to that.
categorically denied or like said they are against it.
we should, yeah, I
But
was going to say
obviously,
we should
there's
probably,
been some rumours recently that Schalke have been invited, which I think just shows how much of a joke this competition is, because they are literally bottom of relegated from the Bundesliga, and they apparently have an invite, which shows just it's not about getting the best competition. It's not about getting the best teams. It's about getting the money and the fans, the
about
fan
getting
bases, without actually earning or doing it for like competition. It's just for money.
It's about getting the blue toothpicks in. 'Cause that's what they're going to like. Tom said the other day, they're all just going to be called like the blue shirts and the Red Devils and stuff.
This is what's going to happen.
Manchester Reds and London
literally,
Whites.
It'll be the Blue Lions, the London Gunners, the Manchester Devils. This is what it'll all be. This is what it will be.
I saw another thing about proposed stuff is like apparently this is just the first step, and so because obviously they want as many fans as possible to bring in as much money to this league. Apparently, like in a few years, there's like proposals for not having these games actually in the home country stadium, but having them internationally. So like games in New York, and like they'll play like the final. So like boxing, where like venues apply to host it, and then so there'll be like a game in like Malaysia and like South Africa.
I think that's what's gonna. I think if this goes this way, it's gonna become a lot of these like big clubs like Manchester United, Manchester City, like Tom was saying, like they become like Devils. They're gonna lose that place. They're gonna just become like a world. It's gonna be the brand, not the club. It's just gonna be like the Devils are gonna be playing this week. It could be anywhere in the world. I mean, you won't have like a specific home.
That's another thing with American clubs. Yeah, when you look at, I don't know if this is a thing in the, I don't really know anything about the MLS, but I know in American football, the American football clubs move cities, don't they?
Yeah,
they move
NBA
cities
teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if something like that were to happen and Arsenal was moved to, I don't know, like Moscow or something. Do you know what I mean? Like
theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's just the start of that, which is just so stupid. It's just not. It's not like building on the communities that these clubs have with like the local fans and like kids growing up in the academies. It just changes everything. It makes it all so stupid and just all about money. Like it will be like.
Should we talk about some of the fan outrage? Now, obviously, when this was announced yesterday or the day before,
it did
spark quite a bit of outrage, and obviously every fan in their right mind was against this and complaining.
Well, I mean,
there's been massive outrage from everyone, and a couple clubs have come out, obviously said what they feel, and a couple players now. So we've had today, at least, we've had Mesut Ozil, Lucas Podolski, Ander Herrera, Podence, a few of these other players. And what's interesting is that until recently, there wasn't that many clubs or players, from the 12 clubs actually involved. And I know recently there's been a couple players who have come out. And now Podence, the Wolves player, put on his Instagram and someone from the United squad. Indeed, I know the other two haven't actually seen this. I don't think.
Yeah, this is news to TP and I.
Yeah, we're very
get our reaction for this.
We're very interested. Yeah.
Well, the first player the first player from any of the 12 clubs involved to come out was actually Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United.
I thought it would be Rashford because obviously how outspoken he is.
No, Bruno Fernandes. He quoted, or like on Instagram you can like put someone else's Insta post in like your story.
Yeah.
He put on his story saying dreams can't be bought or something in relation to Podence's post.
Yeah.
So obviously friends from the Portuguese national team. And after that, so did João Cancelo as well from City. Also
dreams
quoted.
Can't be bought.
He quoted, dreams can't be bought. So basically saying like you can't buy these competitions. That you need like the normal competitions like Champions League. That's what people dream about winning, not the Super League. And so did João Cancelo supported Podence as well. So those are the two major players that have come out so far in support, or not support. Sorry, of
Portuguese
the Portuguese, the two Portuguese players.
That's so surprising that it's Bruno, because obviously he's part. So United are the main spearhead club trying to forward this because of Joe Glazer, and so it's funded by JP Morgan, who apparently have a link with Joe Glazer, and so that's who was able to get all this funding as well. And so, like obviously, it's the American owners which are trying to get everyone else into it. And so it's surprising to me that it's a United player to be the first one to come out, because obviously they're like out of fear, like hearing this new club being founded by your employer would probably be quite scary too. I'm surprised out of everyone to first come out, it's a United player.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Chelsea press conference a minute ago, just before we started, and Thomas Tuchel was quite. He clearly didn't want to say anything. I don't think he knew much either. He said because obviously all the questions were about it, and he was quite clear on that he not only didn't want to talk about it, but also didn't know much. I don't know if he also said that none of the players and none of himself or any of the the coaching staff or anything.
Yeah, I believe I saw something about Arteta
really?
as well only found out yesterday about it.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
they were talking to
I thought.
and the owners were talking to the players today about it. Like, this is the first anyone's hearing about it. The owners did all this, and they're telling people now.
I thought obviously they would have known for months, so that's what like my thinking would have been, because like obviously
That's what I think. That's what everyone thought. But I think the owners did just behind everyone's back, and now they've announced it. And now they're actually trying to tell people. So I'm surprised we haven't seen more players or managers come out in against this. But
What's mad as well is not only did they announce it, they essentially have started it. Do you know what I mean? Like the announcement is the founding of it. Not that we're gonna found it. It's that we have founded it.
yeah,
Which seems so out of the blue and.
Well, there obviously were rumours for a while. I remember a couple of months back there was some stuff came out about it. But there was nothing concrete. There was never like this is gonna happen. But there was talks about it, and then like you said, all of a sudden they've just gone, well, it's happening.
Yeah, and I mean the timing just before the UEFA announcement about the new style of the Champions League as well has obviously been done on purpose. Yeah. So I don't know if it was. I don't know how long the date was set for that UEFA thing to be announced. I don't know if they maybe rushed it.
It was set quite a while ago.
Right. Okay.
I saw at least over a week ago.
Right.
It was being said today. They were doing a vote on it, and it was unanimously voted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Man United's stock has risen 12% this morning,
which is
clearly investors are a big fan of it. I presume it's the new money prospect, isn't it?
I was going to
say, you can't fail if you're in it. Then you can't go down. It's not like happens now if like Arsenal right now having a bad season. They might not get Europe next season. Well, right now they aren't. So if they get banned, but obviously, say for example, this wasn't happening. They could reach Europa League out of Europe. That's terrible for the club. But now there's no.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. But like now, there's no bottom line. There's like you're in it. You're only going to go up.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so stupid from AC Milan because obviously like these other teams were going to do it anyway. But like to spend 10 years trying to get back into the Champions League, and the season you finally do it, you announce there's this new competition and get yourself banned.
Yeah,
it seems. Well, that's why I don't understand about City, because this City have built up to this Champions League, and they've been failing. That's what they got Guardiola in to do.
Yeah,
and now they're in their prime position to actually win it, and. Depending on what happens, they could get kicked out.
I mean,
I presume it's because of they were scared, right? Being left behind.
Oh yeah, obviously they were. But...
Yeah, and I mean, I'll read. This was on a Sky video, but I wrote it down. I'll read the quote. This is of a board member. I don't believe they said what club the board member was from, but I assume. I don't know. Let's just say United.
So it was undisclosed for obvious reasons, right? But I saw the same quote. So there's to nail it on as well. There's only 11 men. There's only 11 members on average in the boards of the top 6. So it's one of about 66 people. So it's like a small confinement of people who obviously know about this. And so has said what I presume you're about to say.
Has said, yeah. So they've said our primary job is to maximise our revenues and profits. The wider good of the game is a secondary concern. Yeah. So say that was someone from the City board. They don't actually. What they're saying is they don't actually really care. Even though City have been trying to build their way up to get this Champions League, they don't really care about that. Although it's a concern, as they put a secondary concern, which I don't know what that means really, but so they've said it's a concern, I suppose, but they essentially are saying it doesn't really mean as much as the money, which is pretty crazy to out and out say that.
I think that's what every club who's joined this league is basically saying, that competitive integrity is second place to money, which is what everyone seemed to do.
And I mean, I suppose they might think that they have a pretty good chance of winning this, and I suppose maybe I don't know. I suppose they think that's just as good as a Champions League, but
yeah, exactly. Especially if you're earning more money from it, then that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, this person from this interview, I wrote down a few more quotes, but they said a few. I don't know if you've written them down as well. They said a few more interesting things as well, right? So, the few things that they said was, firstly, amongst all these board groups of 11 people. Apparently, there are some very noticeable people who are against it in the board meetings.
Yeah.
But they thought that they couldn't get enough power. They couldn't get enough members together to go against it, so they're just going with it anyway. The second thing is that apparently they've planned out like every situation that they thought would happen, including fans being angry, including being threatened from the other clubs, including being threatened from international players getting threatened from international duty, and apparently they've planned for all these events and still will go through with it in all these events happening. Apparently they're not that scared about PR because they think that fans will, in the long run, just forget about it and just continue, because obviously it'll be in competition. They're secretly happy if, apparently they would be secretly happy if players were banned from international duty, because at the moment they don't feel they get the reward from a player leaving for international duty, because obviously they risk getting injured and things like that. And what was the other thing? And yeah, they said that this competition is the future, and that even if they're banned from their domestic leagues, they will still go through this, because this is where the money will come from, and then this is where all clubs will want to be in the future. I mean, those are the things that they said noticeably from that, which is pretty scary.
That is the best way to look at it, I suppose, from their point of view. And the thing is, that is believable as well. I mean, because there's been talks, there's all these talks of no one watching the games and stuff. But even if you don't watch the games, I'm assuming they're going to really push this in places like America, right? So they're going to want Americans to watch this.
America, football is a worldwide sport. Like, people are going to watch it.
Yeah, even if the countries that are involved don't watch it, it's still it will succeed.
Like in India, China, there's so many people.
Yeah,
especially with these emerging markets as well from countries like India and China. Like in the future, at least, if you look at things like YouTube, how many more people are getting more money in these countries and are able to watch these sort of things, and how important it is for your revenues to have people like this and interested is crazy, isn't it? Like, if you look at the Chinese league and how much money is being invested because they know the potential future revenue.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what they're also trying to appeal to, right?
Because the Premier League's the most watched league in the world right now, isn't it? But would it still be after this? I don't know, because people don't watch it to watch Crystal Palace, do they? They watch it to watch Liverpool or whatever.
So exactly.
So it happens. But say this doesn't go through, but then do the clubs just go straight back in? Because what they're arguing is that these clubs are too big to they can't just go without them. So I feel like the FA or whoever is an impasse, but they want to stop it, but at the same time they can't be without these teams, because otherwise, then that's what the whole point of it is, that these clubs are too big, and without them the league's going to fail. There's no one's going to watch. That's why they can feel that they have the power to do this. They have that leverage.
It is a sad truth that just 12 teams can cause this much trouble. Which is pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, I think some players will also be for it as well, because the prospect of not having to, say you're Marcus Rashford. I mean, I know his head's not on the other side, but say you're his quality, right? And in the meeting, you've just played a big game of City, which you enjoyed, and it's what you dream about. And then next week, you've got a midweek game against Burnley, where you're gonna have to track back to follow fucking Jay Rodriguez down the wing. The prospect of never having to do that again and only playing amazing players is probably quite appealing, isn't it?
It is.
You don't want to do the Mourinho system and against Burnley, do you? And track back and keep 11 minutes. There's no one wants to do that.
No.
Exactly. But I think for the players is interesting. I feel, because a lot of them are very money oriented as well. There's plenty of players who, for good reasons or bad reasons, want to make as much money as possible. And sometimes that's to support their country, their family, or people where they're from. Or sometimes they just want the money, which is fair play. Everyone can understand that.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's why I think this banning them from national teams is quite interesting, because everyone knows players prefer their national teams 9 out of 10 times over clubs.
I mean, everyone wants to play for their country, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So if they ban these players from their national teams, which is what's been threatened by the president of UEFA. I don't know how he can control that. I don't know how much power he has over that.
Yeah.
But if it does happen, do the clubs risk going to playing in this thing? Are they going to get banned? But then what happens? Well, I think is, if you play for a year, are you banned for the rest of the time? What if you just go in there for a year and then go back out to the normal leagues? Could you do that? And then, so what happens if before international tournament, everyone in the Super League just transferred out and then went back in this afterwards? Could you stop that? Could you you played for this team, so you can't play? I don't know how they're getting
Yeah,
forced
that's true. Who knows? I mean,
Or just sign a 1-year contract with like Leicester or something. And then
Yeah,
I'm saying
like-
what if like all the best players? Yeah, they signed like a 5-month loan, for
I
like
kinda-
2 weeks into the season with Leicester, and they'd be like, "Well, I didn't play. I'm not playing for this
Yeah.
league in the Super League, so
I presume they'll
I'm
have to
eligible."
impose a lifetime ban then, right? For that exact reason.
well, I
Yeah,
feel
but
like this
But
whole
then if
thing
there's a
about
lifetime ban, what if you can't like? That's how I don't know how transfer's going to work.
This whole thing
If
about
you transfer out,
players for, I think it's a bit harsh, really, because it's nothing to do with the players, and I don't think that really harms the club, really, does it?
Well,
I
it's
mean,
because of course it does, because the players are what want people want to watch, like you said. It's not really like the club. It's the players that play for the club, and players go to big clubs. So the players is where it's won or lost.
that's it. If
for
the
leagues,
players
right?
left, if the players leave,
oh
then
yeah, that's true.
they've
the
got
players
nothing
don't-
left.
That's why they're targeting the players, is because they want the players
Yeah.
to stay in these leagues and go against it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because if
So
they
if,
do
like-
that, then obviously.
of like a Ronaldo or a Messi or like a Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne just signed a new contract with Man City.
Yeah.
What if he was like, I apparently because of what we're hearing is the players didn't know. What if he just said, I don't know. I signed with this club to play in the Champions League. I want out. I want to go.
Yeah,
I wanna
it would
play-
be interesting to see if there is
I
a
don't want
sort
to be
of-
in the Super
like a
League.
mutiny from the players.
Yeah, I'm saying that's
Apparently
why
that's why.
that's why we've already seen those two players obviously in those main
Yeah,
two clubs.
yeah.
Apparently that's
Say
why.
something.
I mean, I saw the opposite, Glenn, because so Çalhanoğlu and Donnarumma haven't signed new renewals, even though they've publicly said that next season they want to sign for AC. They want to continue playing for AC Milan, right? But they haven't signed contract extensions yet, even though they're running out in the summer. And I saw on Reddit and a load of people online that they think that the reason they haven't signed this is because they've known about this European Super League, and so they want to see what happens before they sign these extensions. So it's the opposite of anything.
I suppose, I guess not every club. Well, like what we're hearing is from like Chelsea and Arsenal that the clubs, the managers, and the players didn't know.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
But maybe some clubs did. Maybe the owners discussed it with them. Maybe that's
true.
why they knew some reasons. So maybe some clubs knew, some clubs didn't. But it'd be interesting to see. I'm assuming in the next couple of days, more information will slowly
Yeah,
drift
and I mean,
out
like with the international thing
about
as well,
what's
like
happening.
yeah, like say all of the players from those. I mean, the best players that play internationally are like from those clubs, you know, like so like
Exactly, like-
the grade
but-
of play in international football is going to be so different. Like I don't know, I'm trying to work out what you know what I mean, like what team would be the best now. Say that did happen.
It'd be
and none of those
Germany and
players
France still, right? Because obviously PSG.
It would
and
still,
Bayern.
yeah. It would be
Oh,
France
yeah,
if they
that's-
have.
yeah, that's-
It'd be
true,
Germany and France in the Champions League final, and
Yeah, you're
Germany and
right,
France
yeah.
in the World Cup
Like-
final. And
Yeah, yeah. Oh god.
just like,
Like-
Germany and France in the EU. It'd be Germany and France dominated world, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
because
yeah,
at first
it's
I was thinking like, oh, Brazil will do really well, and then I realised actually no, Brazil play in Europe, don't they?
Yeah,
But maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
these
it's all
teams
just
would
a
definitely
ploy
be
to
friends.
it's just a ploy to get the Americans better. That's what it is. America want to win the World Cup.
I saw so I was doing some research into it to look into it, and there's no obviously any governing body for this yet, and so there's no imposed rules. So one of the things which hasn't obviously been included yet, which would be huge, is financial fair play. So there's no financial fair play rules for this new league
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
And does that mean that just like City are going to buy Mbappe for €1 billion?
They theoretically, they theoretically could just.
I mean,
They're going
how
to have
does
so
it-
much more money than all these other clubs that they
It would
could
be-
just
on
buy
top of
anyone they
that-
want.
On top of that, the idea that financial fair play might be imposed in the future would mean that these clubs would have far more incentive to spend loads now, which means in the first season they just go all mental and spend like €1 billion in case later on it gets added.
Big clubs will. Like they definitely will. Like some of these teams will just go out and like we're gonna fully commit and go into this and fucking
So we're going to see
'Cause if-
like the biggest transfer window of all time this season.
yeah.
Oh,
'Cause, I
really?
mean,
On
of
the
every
code as
club,
well.
like you said,
I wouldn't
of
be
like
surprised.
we said that every club's getting 350 mil. Like you don't
Yeah,
get
exactly.
350 mil very often. Like if they get 350 mil, just every club just splash down players. Like
Apparently it's supposed to be mainly for like renovations and things, and for like debts is what the 350 mil is, but I'm not sure what.
yeah, but
Not
like
really.
of you.
It's
But that's the
a
thing. Like, if,
strange
like there's no relegation.
reason.
You have that money guaranteed for however long this league exists. Which I think they've
Yeah.
of their starting it, they know it's going to exist for a long time.
I mean,
That's
it's not
their
like
plan.
these. Yeah.
So they will have like, well, I'm not going to lose any money. So I have like billions for the next like 10 years. I'm going to earn 3.5 billion just by being here. Why would I not spend all this money? Because I know I'm going to get it next season. I'm going to have money. It's not like, oh, I could have a bad season. I could
It's just
not go well for me. Like, I'm going to have this money guaranteed.
The greed is ridiculous, isn't it?
Do you reckon? So the way they all want money, and obviously transfers is a big way of how you lose money. You have to spend all this money on players. Do you think it'll be more Americanized than like they don't have transfers? They have like trades, really, don't they? Do you reckon we'll start having like trades and stuff?
It's all like it's done on draft picks or whatever. Oh no, that's
that's why I start having all that.
Yeah,
but that's why I think the American system works the way it does. Is that it's a closed system. There's a limited number of teams. But like in one country. But like that whole system is based around it. Like I've been watching a lot of NBA recently, but the whole country's league systems are based around it. Like through college, through high school.
Yeah.
Like you work your way up, and then you go for a draft, and then the teams draft you, and then that's how you get into it. It's not like you come through an academy, you come through this and that.
But then because they have,
and then there's not like thousands of hundreds of teams. You know, there's these teams.
Yeah.
They might expand. They sometimes expand every now and then, but there's always a limited expansions.
Because they
so there's
don't
always
have
that closed system.
Really like. Other than their first division, because all the teams that are in like the second division are like owned by the first teams, aren't they?
Well, they have the thing called in the NBA. It's called the G League, and there's like it's a step down. It's where like players who aren't very good. Or
I think this is
like,
American football. I forget what I'm talking about. Whether this is MLS or American football, but
they're they are like step downs of the main NBA teams.
Yeah, and there's no relegation. Downs, but it's just
they
like
just play each other.
It just seems so. The competitiveness isn't there really, is it? You know.
Well, what I think is interesting is because the NBA, I'm using NBA as an example. That's because
we don't know much about American sports.
Yeah, the NBA is the only one I watch.
It's the same with the AFL, the Australian Football League. So they have a system where you can't get relegated at all, and so the top 8 leagues in every season. So first plays 8, second plays 7th, etc., and they play a knockout stage. And then at the end of the season, there's the grand final, which is literally what it's called.
Like the Super
Bowl.
And
then so teams win the grand final.
We'll get
it's the exact same thing, right?
We'll get a bloody.
But what I
Super
find
Bowl,
interesting is that, like, in the NBA, they say it hurts competitive, not having promotion relegation. But it's meant to be promoting competitiveness because every team, like, if you do badly, you get rewarded for being badly. That's why teams try and do badly some seasons, so they can pick up like draft picks, can pick up trades, they can do this and that to work their way back to the top after a couple of years. Whereas in England, if like an Arsenal who does terribly, they can just go down and down, like maybe not Arsenal, but like Nottingham Forest, they're at the top, go down, and now they just can't come back.
It just feels like it encourages like almost to not do well, doesn't it? I don't know. It's like
there's two different systems.
If you're rewarded for doing badly, it's like you might not try as hard because
you're rewarded for being badly and being good, but you're very punished for just being mediocre, which I guess which is quite. I think it's an interesting way of doing it. It's like you don't want to be just average. You want to be either really good or really shit.
So you'd have
basically what you want to be.
So in the AFL, for example, so in our current system at the moment, the same teams basically seem to win the league every season. So like Man City, for example, have won however many leagues in the last so many years. Bayern, Juve, etc. Whereas in the AFL, a different team basically wins it every year, and the team that wins it comes like 8th next year, and it's so stupid because the team that comes last. So like they like 5 years ago, they had a new team join in called like the Suns, and also the names again of like the oh, it's just stupid, like the Cats and the Suns and stuff. But yeah, so the Suns were terrible, and they won like one game all season. And they got loads of rewards for it to make them good, and I'm pretty sure they won the season like 3 seasons later because of just how
that's
beef
what happens.
they got for no reason. It's just so stupid about how so like the teams that win it, like they've got history of just coming last every season, and it just means as well that there's no like true die-hard fans where like you stick with your club because it's like it changes so much about what the clubs mean and represent and who.
Well, that's what in America you support clubs, but you also support players a lot. So you follow a player because they can change.
That's so dead.
I think that's different. But like another thing in America is that the idea of a super team, like a Man City or a PSG or a Bayern, is like frowned upon. They don't like teams that are like overloaded with like big players. Because like this season, there's been a big controversy about this team called the Brooklyn Nets, and they basically signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving this season, and they're like
Right.
top 10 NBA players in the league. And then they also signed James Harden, another top 10 NBA player, and like they signed a bunch of other like good role players. So they basically just overloaded the team, making themselves the overall favourites, and like it's basically became a huge controversy. Like we like just know, because there was a big controversy a couple of years back about Kevin Durant again. Don't know if you guys remember, you both from NBA, but basically there was this team called the Golden State Warriors, and they
I've heard of them.
they won a championship. They had Steph Curry. You guys know Steph Curry.
I mean, I don't know anything about him, but I know he scores 3-pointers, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, basically, this Golden State Warriors team drafted Steph Curry, and they drafted a couple of players, and they grew quite like organically. They drafted all these players, and then they came up the league, so they won a championship. Then the season later, they went 72-10, which is the best NBA season.
72 wins and 10 losses.
Yeah, there's a thing in NBA. There's the regular season and the playoffs, basically. So you play the regular season, then you seeded for the playoffs. Yeah. So they beat the 71-11, whatever it was, Chicago Bulls from when Michael Jordan was playing back in the 90s, and this team went 72-10. So they had the best regular season record of all time.
Right.
And they ended up losing
82 games.
They play 82 games a season. Yeah.
My God.
What the hell?
They play like every couple of nights. They sometimes do back-to-back nights. But basically,
Really?
So they won 72, and then they ended up losing the playoffs that season to LeBron James and his Cleveland Cavaliers. It was a huge thing, the 3-1 upset a couple of years back. And basically, this was the best regular team season ever, and they lost the finals. And then the next season, this guy called Kevin Durant, who was probably one of the best scorers in NBA history, and was a really good NBA player, and he was playing for the Thunder, and he joined the Golden State Warriors on a free, and basically just ruined the competitive league because it was guaranteed that they were going to win, because it was over, because they already had one of the best teams ever, and then they just added one of the top 3 players in the NBA. It's like if Bayern Munich winning the league 8 years in a row. It's like if they just signed Mbappe tomorrow. It'd be like it's basically like that. Like, what's the point? Like, but and they won the championship the next 2 years. Then no one could beat them. They won the next 2 seasons.
Well, that's the same with the NFL, right? Where they brought Tom Brady and like 10 other insane players, and they won the Super Bowl, and they had like a terrible team last season, I swear.
Yeah, it's
the most recent Super Bowl, and so it's the same thing as that. But that's terrible because what happens with this?
That's what I said. That's why Americans don't like that thing. They like the competitive. Each team has like an equal chance, but like each team has.
But the thing that's wrong with that, and why you should have like these super clubs and then these shit clubs, is because then you get like really good players playing together, and they like play really good football, which you get from both clubs. And then you also see like once a season these 2 huge clubs that have been insane all season who will win out of them. It's also like, it's almost like all these games against like Burnley and Crystal Palace and stuff, they almost build up these teams. So like Bayern will go win like 20 games that season, and they're like unbeatable. But then from this other country that they haven't met all season, you've got Man City that have also been winning every single game all season. They're also unbeatable.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they play each other, and it's like such a spectacle to watch. Whereas like when you play 82 games and every team's like sort of like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what a lot of people
it.
complain about in like the NBA. So the regular season basically doesn't matter. And like, you need to win games. You need to qualify for the playoffs. But a lot of stars like just rest and basically just don't even play half the games because they just can't be fucked. Then they'll save themselves to the playoffs and then actually like try then.
I was going to say,
so
I'm
like
just
it's
I'm
not.
looking
That's the difference between American systems of like this closed system. Want each team to like be able to like be interchangeable all the times and like just keep swapping, compared to the English league system where it's like promotion, like you go up and down. There's these big teams, then there's like the smaller teams. It's weird how like the changings work.
I was just looking at the MLS, like who's won. Because like I said, I don't know anything about it really, and every year it is a different winner. Like every single
literally,
year.
it's the same as the EFL. Yeah.
So
So there's no like you never build like a legacy of a club being like, oh, this is the greatest team of all time, or this team's unbeatable, and then when they're eventually beaten, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think
you never have that in the MLS or the EFL.
Yeah. It's like, it's nice to have a bit of like, you know, a bit of like, you don't know who's going to win.
But it takes away from Leicester winning the Premier League because it's so undoable when it happened. Whereas in the like the undoable in right. Those other leagues is so much less like it's so much less good.
Like it
happens all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I can
And
see.
also on top of that, with no relegation, there's almost the relegation battle is its own competition, which you also get to watch between the shit teams. And it's like who's the shittest? Whereas you never get that. It just wouldn't matter at all. At the
I think
bottom of the league.
was it Rio Ferdinand was talking about that? I watched something about that where it was it's like it's not that's one of the great things about the league is that it's not just who wins, it's who goes out as well. It's such a you
exactly.
have the relegation battles and the winner battles. It's all part of it.
I was gonna say, like, you get these games where like Leeds, this newly promoted team playing this attractive style of football, goes out and beats this gargantuan
and
unstoppable Man City team.
Yeah, you see these teams you've never played before, you've never seen before, come against your favourite clubs.
Yeah, like say this happened like last year, right? And so all these teams are in their own league. Leeds come in and they somehow qualify to get in this new league, right? And then they do really well in that, like they're beating, they're up. I don't know what place they're in, to be fair, but they're 10th. Right. So they're doing like similar to like Arsenal.
I think they're above Arsenal.
I think they're above Arsenal.
Yeah. So say Arsenal's in that league. Leeds are above Arsenal. Let's say they're above like I don't know who else is in it. Let's say they're above like AC Milan as well. I don't know. Say that. Do you know what I mean? Like, or say Porto go in. They're above Porto too, and then they just get relegated anyway because like it just ruins the whole. It's like why are they in there? If
so right now, as we're talking, Leeds are this newly promoted side. Arsenal are a big money side, but by £80 million players.
Super League side.
Leeds are 1 point behind. They're 1 point behind Arsenal with a game in hand.
Exactly, yeah.
A Super League side.
And Everton are 3 points above Arsenal with also a game in hand.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, so say this happened. Like, who are the next? The next big six. Because I mean, I suppose it's you got Everton and Leicester. I suppose are the obvious. They're gonna.
Well, I think
be
Everton, Leicester, West Ham, and like Leeds, right?
Yeah. Although, I mean, last season West Ham did dreadfully, didn't they?
They've turned around.
Yeah, but it's the money they have there. They've got a big ownership and a load of fans, so that's what will like. Even if they get relegated, it's like Newcastle, where like they'll also. It's like what Sunderland are. Like they'll always be a big club, even if they're in like League 17 or whatever they're fucking in now.
Yeah.
I suppose. But I mean,
mate, they should just for banter just add Sunderland to the Super League. Just see how they do. See if they can win a game.
Well, mate, that's
just add like a really terrible team.
I mean, what clubs say?
You've got to have those banter games where Arsenal lose to Burnley.
Yeah, yeah.
I
mean,
it's going to get boring. Lose to Burnley every now, but it's not good. It's going to get boring to fucking lose to fucking PSG every game 8-0.
Well, that's the thing.
You're going to become the new Burnley.
We are. It's talking like it's between Arsenal, Tottenham, and Mason Land, who doesn't come bottom that season. It's just...
and it's not even the thing is, it's not even going to be a Super League because say Bayern Munich, PSG, and Dortmund don't go in. I'm starting to think they will. To be honest,
I think if it happens, if they don't join this season, they join the season after.
Yeah, say they don't.
I don't think they will join this season at all. I think they'll be joined next season.
Who would the other teams be? Because you were saying, I know you were saying Ajax and Porto.
Well, Porto. Ajax
and Porto are the big. Ajax are a huge club.
Apparently Ajax never got the invite. Porto.
Really, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, so apparently they didn't get. Porto did, but they rejected it. Porto rejected it.
But I mean, then what? I don't know who else. I mean, what, like Marseille?
Well, it's like teams like Sevilla, Sevilla in the Spanish league.
I think there was another. I think Lyon are getting invited. I saw another.
Really?
There's got to be another French team. I think. I saw there was rumours to be at least another French team.
I'm surprised because they've gone for like Schalke and stuff apparently. Rumours.
I mean, they are a big
team.
But
they need to go for some French teams. But I guess
Schalke are not like Aston Villa are a bigger club than Schalke.
Yeah, you're right. I mean. But because I feel like they need it can't all be about money. They need a bit of. I know it's pretty much all about money, but they also need a bit of a spectacle as well. Do you know what I mean? So say the best, like I don't know, like say Bristol Rovers had loads of money. They're not going to just invite them in just because they've got money. Like they have to.
That's why Tottenham are there.
Well, clearly they do if you look at Tottenham. Yeah.
That's all Tottenham have.
I suppose
Tottenham have no history at all, mate. Really?
No,
they've
but
won one league title like 50 years ago.
Yeah. I suppose, but then the thing with Tottenham is they're always in like the European Cups, though. I suppose is how they're
Are they?
excused to be in.
Before it was only like the last like
It's
5
only-
years
yeah,
they were
it's
in the
only been
European Cup.
recently.
Before then they weren't, and they're not anymore again.
Look.
Yeah, but they're not anymore, and they weren't before that. So like,
Look, remember my lifelong fan of Chaos Squad. I'm only a 3-year-old. It's my entire life.
I mean,
of
Tom, your
being
entire
watching
life
football.
your entire
Tottenham
life is
have
about
been-
how long Tottenham have been in the European
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
excuse my stupid comments, but
Mate,
That's all I've known.
Tottenham literally, they're trying to be this new thing, which is admirable, but they're not. Like Everton, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Leeds are all bigger clubs than Tottenham are, without a doubt.
I mean, how long has the term Big Six been used?
Only like since Tottenham started getting in and wanted to be part of the Big Six. I mean, literally only like 3 years.
No, it's
if
been
anything.
at
It used
least
to be the Big
7,
Four.
8 years. 7, 8 years, I reckon.
Nah, it's been less than that. It was because it used to be the Big Four, didn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, but I remember when the Big Six
top-
was like I remember like back in like 2012, 2013, the Big Six was definitely talked about.
I don't think you did.
I definitely do. Because it was like for ages like Everton are going to push the Big Six, and then obviously they just never did. But
Yeah, well, I mean, the Big Six doesn't really make sense, does it? At the end of the day, because you've got teams like Leicester that should really be in the Big Six now. I like, because obviously it's not on the history of the club.
Well, not really.
Well, I mean, they're doing.
I
pretty
mean,
well.
Leicester are definitely on. Yeah, I know, but like in terms of what makes a big club, it's about sustained like being good for years and years and years. Like, I mean, Leicester are like quite a way off being considered like
Do you
the
think?
same history as like Arsenal and like Chelsea.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I mean, I get
for sure.
obviously like clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, and United. Obviously, I see what you mean.
yeah,
I see what you mean, but they're
But
you know
like you need to be like City. Like even City would be arguably like shouldn't be part of it. Like and City have won like 7 league titles or whatever ridiculous it is, and they're like arguably not part of it. Like Leicester have got a way to get it still.
I mean,
Tottenham
at
should
what-
be part of it. It's
like,
a big 5.
At what point would you like be demoted from the Big Six? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
just-
if you've got the history, you shouldn't be. I think, like I said, I think Nottingham Forest,
well, that's why it's called
Villa,
the Big Six and not the
and
Best Six,
Leeds.
because like these are the biggest 6 clubs of the like thing kind of at the moment compared to like the best. They're obviously not the best
I mean,
6.
I would define it by your history, but I think what it's actually defined by is how much money you generate and how much money the clubs.
I was going to say because if it is
they're the
history,
big 6 most valuable. So it depends
Yeah.
on what you want it to be, right?
That's
And
true.
I would want it to be the history.
It
But
all
I think
comes
what it's
down to
actually
money.
Defined as is how
Well,
big the club is
I
in
think
terms
what
of
I think
they're
what
the
it
biggest
really
club,
is just
like,
there was a
money
period of time where these 6 clubs finished sort of close to each other. Everyone's like, Big Six. And everyone just kind of stuck with it. But now it's like, oh, they're called the Big
Rich
6, aren't they? Like,
Yeah, literally.
I mean, that's quite a good way to describe it. Really, I didn't think about it like that because I was trying to sort of work out what the meaning behind that would even be. I mean, in Germany, you got Dortmund and Bayern Munich. Like, I mean, what other big clubs are in Germany? I guess Schalke. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because then you got clubs like Leipzig. but
well,
then
Leipzig
they haven't
are
really got much.
no history. That's the whole point about them. Is
No,
that they
that's
are.
the thing. But then they've been bought by a similar system to this in a way, in that it's all it's Red Bull, isn't it?
Well, that's why they was German when they start popping off a couple of years back in League Two. That the crowds were so mad at them because they broke the whole like 50+1 rule, and they do all these workarounds and just to cheat, basically cheat how
well,
the whole thing works. That's why.
I saw that was one of the reasons
That's why
why the German clubs haven't joined.
That's why the most
but
hated
I don't
club
know
in
if that's
Germany
true.
is Leipzig. Like, so it's interesting. It is interesting.
It is interesting to see how it unfolds. But the general consensus from, I mean, every single pundit. I don't know if you saw the Gary Neville one,
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but that he said it so well. And I mean, I don't think I've seen a single. Obviously, you see the odd sort of comment on social media or whatever of people liking the idea, but like in terms of like mainstream media people, I haven't seen anybody that supports it. Like not one
Yeah.
that I can.
But
think
that could
of.
be because it's like so unpopular. I mean, do you think so? Obviously, the next thing. So first of all, do you think it will actually happen? If like Tom, if I put you down, you can only say yes or no. Do you think this will happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's going to happen.
I do,
I
yeah.
think they've gone too far now for it not to happen.
I just don't see it stopping now. Like for them all.
I can't tell you it's going to be successful, but I think it will happen.
Yeah, that's true. It could fall to pieces, but I think it will happen.
It's going to have.
And so first, let's go with if it does happen, which you guys think it will. What do you think happens? Do you think it's successful? Do you think fans try and boycott it? Do you think fans if successfully boycott it? Do you think what do you think of all those things?
So hard to know, isn't it? I mean, there's so much money in it that I just don't. I mean, I think fans will try to boycott it, but it will get to the point. Like I think what I don't know who said the quote of what.
Well,
the plan
no, we don't know, do we? It's a board member of one of the clubs English clubs that are joining, but obviously they're anonymous.
But the whole thing of what they expected to happen, I honestly think they're kind of right. I think like the fans will hate it at first, and then just after 5 years down the line, it will just
be normal. Everyone will
become
just be used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone will just remember it as an annoying thing that happened, but it will just become normal.
Because
Do you reckon it'll be like the good old days with the Premier League?
I'm pretty sure. Like I don't know. I haven't really much of the research. I'm pretty sure there was a bit of an outrage like when the Premier League was formed back before when it was the first division. I'm pretty sure there was like.
Oh, was it?
I'm pretty sure there was like a bit of outrage in like everything back when that was formed back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So like, but like now obviously we don't think about that. Yeah. We just think the Premier League's this great thing. Like, well, in like 20 years, people are like, there's always been a Super League. Why would we think any different?
Yeah. I think the main thing that annoys me about it is the relegation thing. I think if there was relegation, I don't think it would actually be that bad, in all honesty.
Well, what then? It'd just be a European League. It'd just be exactly what the Champions League is.
You just can't get kicked out of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think?
But like, it's the not getting kicked out bit that annoys me the most.
Yeah. Do you reckon in 15 years, kids are going to look back and like, oh, Messi and Ronaldo isn't that good? They stat padded against Mexico, Bulgarian farmers in the Champions League.
Yeah, it was like, do you remember when Ronaldo played for the Black Stripes?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was like, Ronaldo scored 1,000 goals. He scored like 100. He scored 120.
Well, be like, you remember wearing Ronaldo?
All the commentators will be American as well. It's gonna be like set. There's gonna be like that's a theory that's gonna happen that all these matches are gonna be bought by like Arabian cities or whatever. So it's gonna be based in Saudi Arabia.
Some leagues have already done that. Like the Spanish league, I'm pretty sure they had games in other countries. Like big games, yeah.
Really? I saw Real Madrid have got like a theme park that's being built in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh really?
It's like a Real Madrid theme park, yeah.
It's
pretty crazy.
No, do you know? Also, I think I saw this the other day that I saw that Perez was just re-elected recently. Apparently,
yes.
he moved the election date, and I think he must have moved it before the announcement, which is snaky.
I saw that. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
He literally said as well, you saw that they'll just make a new international tournament if they get banned from the Euros and World Cup.
What if they did? What if they did and all the best players played in that one? People would watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
People would watch
the Earth Cup.
The Earth Cup.
Mate, we've got to still watch the World Cup.
Yeah. That's the thing,
mate. Where can we patent the Earth Cup? Let's get that banked, all right? I want to we can make some moolah when they try and go for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other side, if it doesn't happen and these clubs try and come crawling back to the league, going, oh please don't do anything. Do you reckon they should? What do you reckon should happen? Do you reckon they will?
I don't think it will happen, but I think they should all get relegated down to non-league.
Yeah, like do what they did to Celtic. Yeah, like
I think put them all,
literally
put them down to non-league, national north, national south, national whatever you want to do.
They'll work their way. Yeah, because it would be unfair to because you wouldn't be able to relegate them like just to the championship.
Oh, if it's a championship, they don't care. I don't think that
it make the championship so good.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they'll do
it.
I think they'll bottle. I think the FA or whoever will bottle it and be like, we kind of need the clubs, which is what obviously the whole thing is about. That they need these clubs.
What, you reckon they won't do?
I reckon they'll fine them, maybe dock some points for next season, but I reckon they'll still be in the league.
So what do you think happens with this year's Champions League?
I think they're going to finish it. I've annoying as it is, I think they're going to finish it. But I think the Europa League means nothing now.
I mean, just
make the final Villarreal Roma. Like, there's no point in fucking Arsenal and United playing. Like the Champions League. I don't know, because like, what if like City does win it? Do they just like take it off them? Do they just ban them? Like, what happens? Like all these clubs.
That's the other. Like, that's what Neville was saying, wasn't he? He was saying take their titles.
Yeah, it's like just take all, rescind them all. Like, just do whatever you want.
Like,
do you think? Well, you think it's going to go ahead. Do you think that the current organisations will go ahead with their, like, they say they're going to ban them? Do you reckon they actually will ban them from the domestic leagues and stuff?
I don't know. That depends. I don't know if they'll be unified. It depends. I don't know if like the different leagues are talking, or like different leagues will have different punishments. Because I think that'd be quite interesting.
I mean, I saw
different leagues still harsh.
Real Betis actually
I saw that.
removed the clubs that have joined this Super League from their page. So they've moved up to like third or fourth.
They've got like the league table, and they've removed the clubs. So now they're in second instead of like fifth.
Which is, I mean, pretty damning.
I mean, I reckon every club involved is banned from UEFA competitions for at least a couple of years. No matter what happens. If they go through, if they don't go through, they're all banned.
So you think no matter what, the Champions League next season will be like West Ham?
Yeah, I 100% think it's going to be. It's going to be a PSG Bayern final already, but like, I think it literally will, because I don't think UEFA have already come out. Like, their chairman literally made like a big talk about how like they think it's the worst thing, and like it's criminal, and like they're going to get lawyers involved, and like they think it's the worst thing, and they will ban as much as they can. Because because the chairman already said like we're going to ban them from national teams.
We've already seen an example. They tried to ban City for financial fair play from the Champions League like last season.
Well, they were banned for 2 years,
and City they're just bigger than them, aren't they? Yeah, but they're just bigger than the UEFA, and they just thought they said, "Fuck you, we'll get some lawyers."
It is how good your lawyers are. It's the European Super League lawyers versus the UEFA lawyers, or the whoever lawyers.
Do you think that was the first like point to show all the clubs that UEFA won't do shit if you just get some lawyers on them?
Well, that's honestly, I think that contributed.
Do you reckon they saw how powerless UEFA are? And just like, mate, we can pull this through.
Why I do think it's actually going to happen is because they're not, as much as they are fucking horrible, greedy bastards. These billionaires aren't fucking idiots. They knew there was going to be this reaction. They knew there was going to be this outrage. There was going to be these threats. These threats have been out there for months already. So they have to have a plan. They have to know what they're going to do now. Yeah. They have to.
Well, that's what they're saying. They saying they don't care if they get banned and stuff. They don't care about the public.
They have so much money. Like, it doesn't matter.
Saying, like, that's why I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna happen. I think it will just happen because they knew this fan outreach was gonna happen. They knew, like I said, the people are gonna. They're going to try and get banned. They're going to try and ban these people. They're just going to do it anyway.
I think it will be interesting to. I was going to say it will be interesting to see how the players react, because if the players do actually want to.
Yeah, the only thing that can happen is they haven't told the players, or there's players outrage, or like other players like go on strike or something. Then.
Like, because say all the players from those clubs go to like West Ham and Everton and I don't know, like Leipzig or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Then the Super League won't be very super anymore because all the super players will have left.
Do you reckon you'll have like a Super League club and a Premier League club?
I mean, who knows?
Maybe. Well, I'm interested in what's going to happen, because I'm assuming a lot of these players haven't come out because they don't know what's going to happen to these. Well, I think because like Bruno and Cancelo came out. What are the clubs going to do? Are they going to like fine them? Like, are they gonna like? Obviously, United can't sell Bruno Fernandes. Like, they can't be like, if this guy's speaking out against this thing, they can't be like, well, go away. So you need
That's
Bruno.
a good point.
I think Cancelo is the best right back in the world as well. So City can't do anything to him.
I think City are more like, if City wanted to, they would just sell. Cancelo, but like the United can't go into the Super League to be taken seriously, which I assume they want to be. If they without Bruno.
Imagine not in Bruno, they'll be down
exactly, they'll be down the bottom. But that's what I'm saying, like, what's going to happen to these players that speak out about it? So I'm assuming it's why some players haven't done it, because they're worried about, well, they don't know where things are going. They don't know what's going to happen to them.
The only thing that I'm looking forward to if this does happen is having my club finally whoop your club every week, because I haven't had that. Like, the prospect of actually playing each other.
Well, the only times we played each other recently Arsenal have won them all. So you talk to me when you.
We haven't won them all. We won one. We played like twice in the last like.
I think we played like 4 times in the last.
And you won the leg.
We've won both legs we played.
You won the leg. You won the leg, yeah. but in one of the games, which gave you the winning goal, Welbeck dived, and like that's what put you through.
The game's the game, lad.
And it was like showed in the replay. He just like dived, so you went through bloody cheating arse.
The game's the game, lad. The game's the game. I mean, we've played. I mean, the recent games were in 2018, and we beat you 3-1 and 2-0. So.
Nah. But it's in the Europa League.
Arsenal's overall record against AC Milan is 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why that is, Glenn? Because you're not in the European Cups, mate, when we're winning them. You're just only in the Europa League.
I mean, the Europa League has dropped down to the 3rd competition in Europe now.
That's true. Right, we'll see. We'll see you.
Record's better than us, Glenn. It's because all our fights have come in the Europa League, which we don't care about, and that's your main aim.
To be fair, we've actually only played. I mean, that was wrong. We've only played each other in Europa League once. We won both those games. You beat us. You beat us once in 1995 in the UEFA Super Cup. And
that also doesn't really matter.
And you beat us. And obviously, the main one was the one in 2012, the 4-0 in the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
We won the second leg 3-0, but you got through that one.
But you lost.
I just realised the Super Cup's a bit pointless now because the Super League winner's not going to be in the Super Cup.
Oh no, my club won't get to play in the FIFA World Cup, the Club World Cup.
The Club World Cup,
World Cup, yeah.
One. So that's not really a World Cup anymore, is it?
To be fair, does the UEFA, does the European Super League winner get invited to the Club World Cup?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Mate, do you reckon the European Super League winner will have like a final against like the Premier League winner? They'll like come together.
Oh, so many questions. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
So the one of the final things to say is I presume we're drawing to an end now. It's been over an hour. Tom and Glenn, when this happens, are you changing club, and if so, to what club?
I'm gonna have a temporary change with like how do I put this? A change, but with a clause of going back, potentially. It's a buyback.
You'll be angry. You'll be angry for a couple of weeks, and then you go, "Oh fuck!" Then something going to watch the Super.
It's like when Pogba came back to United. It's.
I will make sure not to. So ever since I've started watching football, I've been buying a shirt every year. Right, I'll stop doing that. Right, that'll be the first thing I'll stop doing until like 10 years time, maybe, I don't know. But I'll stop doing that. And I won't spend any money on them, which, to be fair, I don't really spend much money on Chelsea anyway. But I won't spend any money, and I'm going with Roma as well. That's my new team.
Roma the team.
So after this, we got a chance to play. I thought the reason you picked Roma is so that you can watch a team play me. And I pick a Premier League team. And what are you supporting Roma for?
Mate, Roma are going to be in one of them 5 spots. I'll tell you, that's what's going to happen. I'm going with Roma. I mean, if I had to pick an English club, though, I don't really know.
I mean, I would say you should support your local club, and you should do.
Oh, that's why I'm thinking Bournemouth, but Weymouth.
Yeah, but if they're not in the Premier League, would you pick Southampton then? Because that's
true. I'd probably go Southampton.
No.
Mine is probably Southampton.
Because I wouldn't. Oh no, because then if Bournemouth got promoted, I wouldn't want to be supporting Southampton though.
My club is probably Southampton. I would say I'm Southampton. Or up the Hammers.
I'm just going to be a Championship supporter.
I've seen more
Southampton. He always said Championships.
I mean, I've watched more Southampton games.
Yeah. My mate at uni supports Nottingham Forest. So.
Yeah, Championship's a good competition. It's going to be better than the Prem now. Well, actually, not really, because they're all going to go up to the Prem. So.
Yeah, I'd say. I think it kicked out where the 6 new Championship clubs get promoted.
I don't know who I'd support, to be honest.
I do
like Burnley.
Burnley.
I do like Burnley, But I just hate the prospect because I love Sean Dyche, but when Sean Dyche leaves, it'll be such a boring club to watch.
Yeah.
Like the
They
Sean Dyche memes when he leaves.
Like, it's interesting to think, like, because not only say this happens and all these 6 clubs are kicked out of the Premier League, that it's not just like the Championship's going up to the Premier League. It's going to be the same all the way down, isn't it? So like, there's going to be 6 new champion. Like it's going to be so weird having all these clubs that are higher up than they were.
Actually, I'm supporting hashtag United.
Yeah.
Hashtag United to the Prem.
United. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll save Weymouth, to be fair. Well, I mean,
pretty sure they're going to get relegated this rate.
Well, this will save them. They're probably pretty happy.
Yeah, I guess.
What? So do you reckon Sheffield wouldn't get relegated then? Then like only 3 clubs will go up.
Well, I don't know how else they could do it unless they like don't have as many teams in the league. Like I don't know.
Well, that will have to be it. So Sheffield would be so happy.
Unless they relegate them and then bring up 6.
Imagine.
No, because if they did that, so the six things moving every league wouldn't happen because all they do is not have the Premier League relegated this season, and then every other club would just be the same as normal, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. I suppose, but it's interesting to think about.
But yeah, I don't know. Have any of you got any final words? Because I presume we'll unless you've got anything more to say.
Fuck the Super League.
Fuck the Super League.
Wait, no, that's not the hashtag. What's the hashtag? No to the Super League, isn't it? That's the hashtag.
No, hashtag no to the Super
League.
League.
That's the actual thing.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If so, tell your mum about it, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Let us know what you want us to talk about next. We got the whole sports to cover, so let us know.